Right, morning guys. Van build series, Mick, Twisted Tube 13. I think I've finally decided what I'm going to do with the floor. I'll get myself worked up about being able to put the single seats in and out. And in reality, it's not that often I'm going to have to put the seats in, but I need quite a solid floor or quite solid rails on the floor for carrying stuff to jobs, to strap it down. You've got the load lashing rings on the side of the van and on the rear in several places, but the actual floor that they supply with the van isn't that sturdy at all. I'll show a clip now and you'll see this only small thin MDF they use, and they use the polystyrene to go between the ribs on the floor, van floor. So what I've decided to do is, the other problem is as well, I'd have had to put the floor in 3 bits, if not 4, as they do, because I've still got the brackets on the side of the van for the bulkhead. I don't really want to be hacking them off on a brand spanking new van, to be perfectly honest. So I'm gonna sort of trim around that, or even make a panel that I can trim onto it. So I want to keep the back as sort of wide as I can. Like I said, I looked at the panels that you can buy for the minibus version, and it comes in such a long way that you lose quite a lot of load space. And the other thing is, I sometimes have to pick the mother-in-law up. She's in a wheelchair, so it would be great if she could be in a wheelchair, put in and strapped down. So my answer to that is, now a lot of people are most probably going to say, oh, why didn't you use timber? Well, my plan is basically I'm going to bond these to the floor. I'm actually going to drill them. It's basically surplus material I had. Obviously I've got longer lengths than this. So where the 4 lashing points are for the original seat, basically I'm going to clean these, drill them, machine them out and bond them to the floor. So when they're there. But that'll give me the thickness all the way through of what the original floor height was at the rear. Hopefully I've got a cunning plan of how I'm going to sort the seats out when it comes to that bit. But basically this will be bonded, and then I'll have a track go up on the inside, and I'm going to use tracking. Basically the same tracking we use in the disabled vehicles, but with them generally you're supposed to go all the way through and bolt them tight to the floor. Now you can get what they call a smart floor version, a bit more weighty. That's a whole aluminium plank tongue and groove version that you basically clean the whole floor and bond it to the floor, and when it's down, it is down. Well, my budget doesn't really stretch to that much. This way round, I can bond this down. The track can be bolted to this. Obviously it'll be bonded to the floor. It ain't never going anywhere because it's going to be bonded in every single riv. I'll then put some of that sound deadening in, because it's obviously hollow and underneath is hollow, which is another thing I noticed when I was under there. There's hardly any stone chip anywhere. They've more or less just basically they've used it to try and stop the echoing, as you can hear hopefully. So I've got some of that on order. It's not really the right time of year to be doing that underneath because it wants to be +10, so I've got to come up with a cunning plan and I'm going to put that on. But the stuff I'm going to use, we'll cover that in another video. Let's get on with this. So basically I'm going to drill this out, like I said, clean the floor, bond. I'm going to have basically where the seats are going to be bolted eventually, or clipped in and unclipped, is where the most of this bonding is going to go with this, because you've got the width. This is 25 by 38. So that's it on there, and then what I'll do is my floor will be in strips that will go through, and then the track that gets bolted down to this will clamp the floor down, so I can vinyl the floor and put it in strips. So then I can put that in either side of the wheel arch. I ain't got to worry about the rivs, I ain't got to worry about the brackets on the side where the bulkhead. So if I ever need to put the bulkhead in, because the floor is going to be the same original floor thickness, it should work out right. So let's stop waffling. I'll get some of the lengths of this cut up, bonded to the floor. I'll show you where I'm going to bond it to the floor. I want to get these main ones in where the fixings are. I don't really want to be drilling loads of extra holes in the floor, to be honest. This stuff, when it goes off, unless you're going to burn it off, or if you can get a start under one end and you can get a cheese wire, it is an absolute nightmare. They are brilliant stuff. We use it all the time. Now there are quite a few different versions. This is obviously I'm not being paid by anyone. This is one version. I only really use this one for sealer, so sealing stuff on. I don't actually use it as a bonding because it doesn't really say bonding on it. It's made by Sikaflex for this company. If you look at Sikaflex, which I think is the most recognised name, it says sealant adhesive on it, and you want the adhesive style. And again, I'm not being sponsored by these. This is just stuff that I use all the time and I find it to work. U-Pol, Tiger Seal, adhesive sealant. Now this is the stuff that I use to stick stuff down. Now most commercial trucks, freezer trucks, they're stuck together with this stuff. You know, it's phenomenal stuff. I've had to make a special like scraper out of tool steel that I've had to sharpen, that I can beat the hell out of when you're trying to get cappings and that off. This stuff is serious stuff. I tell you what, you don't want it on something, you don't want it to stick, because if you don't get it off with thinners or anything, it is a bugger. So I'm confident with this and the original fixings in the floor, and then a few extra that I'll do at the rear. It ain't going anywhere. I mean, if anything, it's maybe a little bit over the top, but I'd rather be over the top than not. And like I said, it is very rare that I'm going to have people sitting in the single seats. I'm going to run most of the time without it, but then again, I want them to be safe, I want them to be secure. So I've got a plan for that, but we've got to do this bit because really I need to get this bit done, because I want to get the sealer bit done underneath as well, because we are in for a bad winter apparently. And like I said, it's not the right time of year, but here we go. So I'll give you a quick spin. So basically, like I said, I'm going to use the original. I ain't got my shoes on, I've left them out there because it's dirty. I don't want to be getting it too dirty because I'm going to have to clean the floor. But basically, they're the original fixings. Now on them leather seats, they fix in here, but they come over to here. So basically, I know there's nothing under there, so I can put a couple of fixings there as well from underneath, and also at the top. I've got to obviously trim the sealer there and check to make sure it goes through level. If not, I'm going to have to do a cut and a join and carry on through and then bond it, or just scallop the underside out. But it might be that I'll just cut and bond it because I'm having to still go through so I can screw to it. Obviously that rail also, not going to get one in this rail, not going to get one in this rail, but I'll put a piece there. But I'll put a full piece through there, I'll put a full piece through there. I will skip those and through there, and then basically I will stick the 2mm silent coat over the top, and then maybe the thermal liner over the top of that, space permitting. Now I know it's not going to be super warm, but like I said, I'm not going to be living in the van 24/7. We'll basically be doing the odd night out here and there, and mainly in the summer. So that should hopefully stop any panel boom or noise, because I'll tell you what, when I was driving my old one and we had just the bulkhead out, she was as noisy as anything till the silent coat and everything was done. But you could see the surfaces, and I've put some rust in here, but sort of paint around the holes. If anyone wants to know what keying the surface is, basically it's just going over, scratching the surface up, give it something to key. I've obviously done the undersides of the alley anyway. Then I've gone over with some spirit wipe, panel wipe, spirit wipe, thinners, whatever you can get hold of. So I'm just going to put the rest of the bolts in there and it stop raining. With washers, I'm using washers to spread the load on the inside, and then bigger washers on the outside, or spreader plates if it's not near a chassis member. But I'll show you when I get underneath. Right, there we go guys, that's what you should be getting when it's all bolted down. I had a look under on the tank where we had plenty of room. You want all Sikaflex to ooze out. As you can see, we're more or less level all the way across. So right up there, Sikaflex is oozed right out, and it's nice and tight on the bed. So that's those three. Here we are under the van. Hopefully you can see I've put spreader plates across and Sikaflex like that, and where it's near the chassis rigger I've used a plate there, just a square galvanised washer, and also up there. And what I'll do is I'll shot blast all over that. That stuff's like a rubberised stuff, so I'm gonna have to take the loom down. I mean, look, there's no insulation or anything over that, so you can imagine water ingress on that. So I might put a rubber sock over that. We'll have a look. But yeah, I'm going to drop that and the spare wheel down and put that rubberised stuff on. They've wax oiled everywhere, just haven't put any of that rubberised stuff, so I might as well try and do it now before it gets out on the road and gets absolutely plastered. So I don't know how much of it we're going to get done, but there we go. So next job will be to do the other side. Right, this is the rail stuck down, well, just temporary screwed down at the moment. I'm just starting to do a bit of the old silent coat. Obviously that one's loose at the moment. Silent coat, and then in between that got some thermal van liner, and then the timber will sit on top of that, and it'll get sandwiched by the rail. So I'm going to cut bits to go in between, and it gets sandwiched by the rail. I'll take you around the other side. Right, obviously that sits on there. These are those lock plates I was talking to you about. This one's on there, and like I say, the timber will go over this one, but it'll get sandwiched. That's just there as actual support, but I've got it there if I need to put a rail in there, but because it's only short I won't bother. But yeah, I'll carry on putting the silent coat in, and then we'll put the matting over the top. This for me is I'm now filling in between with this 12mm thermo liner. When it comes out the roll, you can see it is quite, paper's loose and stuff on it, and it's really rippled. But for me, I'll stick it down and then I'll pull it and stick it down as I go, and it seems to take most of the ripples out, and I reckon a lot of them will settle out. So I've just cut the next strip to go in there. I'll try and set the camera up and see how we get on. Here comes the rain again. Another little tip, went a bit Pete Tong up that end. I've now found as well is if while you've got hold of it and I'm pulling it, you can see there I'm giving it a twist, so then that seems to go in, and then you're able to flatten it off. So give it a little bit of a twist, drop it down, it seems to go in a lot nicer like that. Right fellas, that's the next stage. I've glue and cut the strips, got them dropped in. I've still obviously got my edge both sides to do, but yeah, I've got a couple of screws in obviously just to make sure my lines and all that line up before I get on and drill and screw the rest. It's not coming along too bad, as you can see there. It's only slightly higher than the plate at the back. I'll take you around there if you can see that, but obviously I'm going to have a edge strip on the end of there with the stops, and the same here. Time I've got the stops in, and then I've got my edge trim. Because I want to keep that void in case I need to put